Hey, I'm Fight the Flat Earth and welcome back to the channel that does to stupidity what the mountain did to Oberon Mattel's skull. The Flat Earth is full of people that think they are smarter than the smartest people ever to have lived. They think they can debunk the greatest minds that we've ever had on this planet, when they actually have zero knowledge of what they talk about. Episode 14 of Flerfs Are Idiots is about JM Truth, a Flerf that thinks he's an expert on everything, says he's a physicist and a research scientist, and claims that film production is a science, while seismology isn't. No, you did hear that right. Film production is a science, while seismology isn't. And that kind of stupidity makes me fear for my mental health, so I've enlisted the help of the incredible Godless Engineer. Hold on to your hats and have facepalm protection at the ready. The stupid is strong with this one, and the ego is even stronger. This is JM Truth, the Saviour of Flat Earth.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
So JM Truth, where do I start? Well, I think the best place to start is to tell you about the Dunning-Kruger effect. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias, where people that have no expertise in a field seem to think they know everything about it. This is a representation of the Dunning-Kruger chart, and this is where JM Truth falls on that chart. His channel is full of what he thinks are educational videos, where he acts as the teacher to re-educate everyone away from the evils of what he calls pseudoscience. He even names his videos like college lectures. Frankly, it makes me cringe quite a lot watching him stand there in his lab coat to re-educate everyone away from the evils of what he calls pseudoscience. He even names his videos like college lectures. Frankly, it makes me cringe quite a lot watching him stand there in his lab coat. I'm going to concentrate on a video he titled Physics 103 Gas Pressure, Where Did the Universe Go? Where he stands, for some reason, in a field for 20 minutes and gets things wrong. Oh, let me translate that for you guys. Flerf can be a difficult language because it seems like normal words. What he just said is, Joshua Michael doesn't understand anything he was taught, so he's going to share and think he is teaching you this bullshit. And then comes the ego. What that just said was basically me, in association with me. Science, presented by me. Me!
Shalom, my friends. My name is Joshua Michael, and I'd like to welcome you to jamtruth.com.
I've got so many issues straight away. Look at him in his lab coat, in the middle of a field. Why? What? Why are you in a lab coat? Are you in a lab? You on a field trip? What scientist has his lab in a field? Come on!
This is the Science 100 series. This class is Science 103 on gas pressure. And I've subtitled this class, Where Did the Universe Go? Because by the end of the class, I'm going to reveal to you that you don't live where you think you do. And that question, where did the universe go, is going to be answered by the end of this class. So,
I will bet you my left nut that you don't answer any questions in this video. It amazes me that you morons are so happy to put your ignorance on display. Let's see what you get wrong. I'm betting a lot.
So let's get started. First, we are told by mainstream science that we live on a globe, that there's an atmosphere, and just beyond that atmosphere, there's a vacuum of space and stars and the sun and all this stuff. So with the beginning,
yeah, science does tell us that, but more than tell, science demonstrates it. There is so much evidence of this to be the case. But of course, you're the physicist, huh?
I am a physicist.
physicist that does experiments in lots of them. There is no, and a research scientist, there is no proof of space-time or continuum. None.
Where did you get your physics degree?
First of all, let me ask you this question first, as it's, why does someone need a degree in physics in order to be a physicist? Wait. Hold on. Did Einstein have a physics degree? Because if not, then you can't use him as an example.
Again,
did Newton have a physics degree?
You slipped up big when you said you.
No, your argument.
No, you have no
Can
argument.
I finish a thought without getting another question?
Go ahead.
I'll tell you where you slipped up. The fact
Okay,
that you said weight. The fact that you said weight has nothing to do with gravity makes me wonder, where did you get your physics degree? You said you're a physicist, and you said you're a scientist.
Hey Jesse, before you ask him where he got his physics, dude, all you gotta do is give us some scientific evidence for gravity. Do you have any? Ready, go.
You're answering my question with another unrelated question.
Hold on. All right.
So I'll answer your question.
Nathan, I'll concede that. Hold on. You asked me where I got my physics degree. Do you have a master's degree? Yes or no?
Oh, see, you're moving the goalpost.
No,
you're moving the goalpost.
He just asked you a question.
And you're responding.
Jesse, you
You're
just asked you a
answering
question.
my question with a question.
Because your question, again, is a strawman argument. You're asking me about a physics degree. I'm asking you if you have a master's degree, because I can trump you if not. So I'm trying to establish a basis of equilibrium here, and I'm betting $1,000 there isn't an equilibrium here. But you want to throw a degree in my face because you think that establishes some kind of truth.
Yep.
So before you establish that, I have a master's of science degree. Let's just go there. Do you have one?
So you are conceding that you do not have a physics degree and therefore are not a physicist. So you were not telling the truth there, were you?
Hey, Einstein didn't have a physics degree either, buddy.
Wait. What is the Okay, let's go back to elementary school, Jesse. What is the definition of scientist?
Mm-hmm.
What is the definition of a scientist? Do you know?
So are you going to answer my question? Where did you get your physics degree?
No,
Why
straw
do
man
you
argument.
Or not?
Jesse, straw man.
Your argument's a straw man argument.
Yeah.
Do you have? In fact, my question is far more valid.
It's a question. I'm not
Do you
arguing.
have a
I'm not
master's?
arguing anything. You stated.
Jesse, stay with me here, buddy. Do you have a master's of science degree? Yes or no? Yes or no?
I asked.
He asked you a question, Jesse.
And you're
Jesse, answer his
You're
question.
responding to my question
I've already
with an
answered
unrelated
your
question.
I've already answered your question. I'm asking you to answer
So
my question.
what was the answer? I missed your answer. I missed your
I don't
answer.
have a
I'm sorry.
physics
What was?
I don't have a physics
Thank you.
degree. All this stuff. So with the beginning of the scientific method, you must first start with a question. So here's the question. How do you have a gas pressure, also known as atmospheric pressure, without a container to begin with?
There is your first mistake. Atmospheric pressure and gas pressure are two different things. But please, carry on and be wrong some more.
Folks, I think this is the basis of our understanding, the basis of this course and this class, and we need to really look at this question because we're going to really dive deep into this particular question. So let's bring the board on. So here's the question. How do you have a gas pressure, also known as atmospheric pressure, without a container to begin with?
Well, by having a force. And can you guess what that force is? Anyone? Desert file?
Gravity, you fucking retard! Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity? Gravity! Gravity!
Folks, in order to start the process, we first need to define gas pressure. So let's start with the definition of gas pressure. The pressure of a gas is the force that gas exerts on the walls of its container. Okay, that's from chemistryelmhurst.edu. Let's read that again. The pressure of a gas is the force that gas exerts on the walls of its container. Next page.
Oh man, come on, you better be picking up that paper you're just dumping in the countryside. You know what I think is more important, and that is if we define atmospheric pressure. Let's go to the remedial classroom. You could really do with the remedial classroom. Right, settle down. I said settle down. Right, today we need to look... Oh, what the actual fuck do you want, Mr. Riley? Yes, it is true the teachers have all placed bets on you being dumb fuck of the year. Don't be sad, Riley. It'll be the first time in your life that you've won anything. It must suck knowing that you can't even win a loser competition. 2 second places in a row. Must sting. But you've been saying some incredibly stupid stuff this year. Like my favourite. Acceleration doesn't require a force, but density is a force. See? Even your peers think you're stupid. Good job, class. Anyway, atmospheric pressure. Different from gas pressure, atmospheric pressure, sometimes called barometric pressure, is at the surface of the Earth 14.7 psi, and as altitude rises, the pressure decreases until you are in a vacuum, or 10 to the negative 17 torr, which is not a negative number, Mr. Thompson. Atmospheric pressure is caused by the gravitational attraction of the planet on the atmospheric gases above the surface, and is a function of the mass of the planet, the radius of the surface, and the amount and composition of the gases and their vertical distribution in the atmosphere. It is modified by planetary rotation and local effects such as wind velocity, density variations due to temperature, and variations in composition. The most important part is that there is a pressure gradient, which requires a force of some kind. And without that force, there would not be a pressure gradient inside the Flat Earth's magic snow globe. Now, Mr. Riley, I have a note here from George Musser. It says, fuck you, you moron. Stop misquoting me. That's home time. Oh, thank fuck. I want to say a massive thank you to all my patrons. Your support allows me time to focus on my channel and do what's important, bringing you great content and fighting the Flat Earth. I want to say an extra massive thank you to my $200 patrons, Christopher Kane and Jeffrey Sloan. If you'd like to join and become part of the FTFE team, go to patreon.com/FTFE. And thank you.
Without the walls of a container, there can be no pressure. It's like having an atmosphere and a vacuum in the same place. It's an oxymoron, folks. You can't have it.
No, it's not an oxymoron. Because no one says we have a vacuum and an atmosphere in the same place. How would you even have an atmosphere and a vacuum in the same place? Is this kind of stupid that makes people laugh at you?
Can anyone see where I'm going with this? Anyone? Going once? Going twice? No? Well, let's move on. So
why are you asking a question? There's no one... You know you're not live streaming this, right?
So this is from our friends at NASA, folks. The molecules are in constant random motion and frequently collide with each other and the walls of the container.
So the thing about using NASA for anything is that NASA tells us the Earth is a globe.
And that's from our good friends at NASA. Of course, someone's going to say, but Josh, you don't believe what NASA says. Technically, that's true. Most of what NASA presents us, I have found to be pseudoscience and not correct. However, in this particular instance, according to what they've put out as far as gas and gas pressure is concerned, they are correct in regards to what genuine science is already established.
So what you're saying is NASA are right, as long as you say they are right. Okay, this is what we call cherry picking, Josh, and it's a little bit dishonest. I thought you were JM Truth.
Now, I didn't actually see this until Quantum Eraser on YouTube pointed it out, and then I don't know whether it's just you opened my eyes to it or what, but now I see it everywhere, and everybody...
Oh, you listen to Quantum Eraser? Fuck's sake, man.
And everybody is yelling gas pressure gradient in an attempt to explain away the needing of a barrier between Earth's atmosphere and space. Okay?
There is a fair point though, because I've yet to hear an actual explanation for the gradient in our atmosphere that goes from 14.7 psi to 0 psi that doesn't include gravity. In a recent debate with Why You Are an Idiot, he did try with an explanation. But my question for you is, how does any of this prove that at one point there was no pressure gradient? And more to the point, how does the fact that there used to not be a pressure gradient explain the fact that there is a pressure gradient now?
Okay, so basically, when Yggdrasil is gone, we're talking about it reached onto the dome. It reached onto the dome. Once it got cut down, how much of, because supposedly, there's a connection between the air and trees and all this. So if you cut a tree that big down, how much are you going to lose? And you can look at the animals. If you look at the animals of the past and you look at the animals of today,
I'm gonna have to...
they're twice as big. They're twice as big in the past. They are twice the size in the past. That requires way more air pressure. And since Yggdrasil is so high, there should be no pressure gradient. You remove it, there is a pressure gradient.
Space. Right. Okay. So this is the problem when people use a term out of context and try to use it to explain something they really don't understand. So people are yelling gas pressure gradient, gas pressure gradient. Okay. So let's see here. Answer this question. What comes first? Gas pressure or gas pressure gradient?
Oh, so you're not going to try and explain it. You're just going to ignore it and continue to litter the countryside? The only explanation to a gradient is a force. Ignore it all you want. It's not going away. You know what? Talking to this idiot gives me a headache. Luckily I've got backup.
Hey, Fight the Flat Earth! Thank you for having me on to tear apart a JM Truth video. I figured the best place to start would be his very first Flat Earth video. I really want to analyze him, what he's about, and the disingenuous tactics that he takes. Alright, so first we have something that's become common with the Flat Earth community, and that's his mischaracterization of what exactly is science and what isn't science, or rather, what is pseudoscience.
But if you're really interested in this, I would encourage you to do your own research, encourage you to do good research and not just believe what mainstream science, which I call pseudoscience. I don't even call mainstream science real science anymore.
So after this clip, you might be thinking, well, hold on, what does he consider actual science? What does he consider pseudoscience? Well, luckily, in a debate with Sean Hawkins recently, he elaborated on this.
The reason I said all these other sciences were pseudosciences because the so-called sciences on the right can't perform experiments. They can't even, then the last 6 can't perform a hypothesis. Okay, it's been proven they are not sciences. So I'm not even going to debate it. I'm not going to argue with you. If you can show me one example of a legitimate hypothesis and a legitimate experiment, then we'll discuss it. But until then, we're not going to.
Yes. So apparently, paleontology, anthropology, archaeology, geology, evolutionary biology, apparently all of these are not, in fact, sciences, but they are pseudoscience to him. So it's quite interesting that he uses this, considering the fact that we're about to go over what he considers actual evidence and actual scientific rigor. But to be clear, I want to state that all of these are indeed scientific fields. Just so you know what actually constitutes whether or not a field is scientific, generally it has to meet at least most of these particular characteristics. It has to have clearly defined terminology. It has to have a quality of quantifiability. Highly controlled conditions is also very important, as well as reproducibility and predictability and testability. So any field that stands up to the rigor set forth by these principles can be considered a scientific field. And so all of these pseudosciences that he lists here, it is indeed not pseudoscience. These are actual scientific fields. With the exception of a few on this list, because, I mean, he lists, like, astrology on here. That's obviously not scientific. So let's go on and see what is the foundation of JM Truth's proof for a flat Earth.
Please remember, we were commanded by the Savior to do all things in love. I'm not telling any of you, you obviously have to believe as I do. I'm simply sharing with you this interesting information and perspective. I'm going to start with the scriptures and then we're going to look at and move past that to the scriptures into other evidence.
Apparently he uses his own particular holy text in order to lay the groundwork for his entire worldview. And he also uses it for his evidence later. So I guess you could say that he employs pseudoscience because holy books are definitely not scientific.
Here's a photo that has been split up into 3 levels. Here we see sea level, sky level, and upper atmosphere, first level. Using NASA's own law of curvature, this chart you see here, what we see in this picture is something we should not be seeing.
So here JM is trying to provide some evidence outside of his scriptures, but really, I mean, he's just showing this in order to support his scriptures or to validate his scriptures or to show that his scriptures hold truth in some way. So that's all that he's using this evidence for. But let's actually attack the evidence that he provides. First off, he misrepresents the 8 inches per mile squared, labeling it as NASA's equation. At best, you could say that this is a land surveyor's equation, because the equation is actually only fairly accurate within, like, a few miles, or a very short distance, really. Because it actually maps a parabola. It doesn't map a sphere. And it's real funny because if you notice on his little display there, he's actually got an Excel equation that you can put into Excel and calculate, I guess, how much distance is hidden by the curve. But if you'll notice there, it's not 8 inches per mile squared. This really gets at the heart of what JM does and what you'll notice as we continue. JM regularly misrepresents the truth. As you can see on this one, he's misrepresenting what is even on his little figure there. Also, to discuss this whole horizon rising to eye level, however high you go, that's indeed not accurate. There are plenty of videos that you can go to out there that actually have, a drone going up and seeing the horizon drop.
The Earth, according to NASA, drops 8 inches squared every mile. And so as we get higher from the Earth should disappear from our view. But as you can see, this is not what happens here.
See, this part right here is very wrong, because we shouldn't see the Earth disappear as we get higher, and maybe this is a bit semantical of an argument, but I feel like it highlights just how disingenuous he is, because as you get higher up, you should see more and more of the spherical Earth, not that the Earth should be disappearing. So I don't even know why he's saying that the globe Earth should be disappearing on a globe Earth model, but it doesn't. We just see more and more of the surface area of the Earth.
We are told that the sun is about 93 million miles away. We were also told that the sun is about 109 times the size of the Earth. That would mean that the light coming off the sun and the light it gives off should dwarf our planet. This means we should not see any pinpoint of light at any point on the Earth. If in fact that is the case, and light travels straight in space due to it being a vacuum according to NASA, then can someone please explain to me how we have such a small hotspot on the Earth? Being both a cinematographer and a photographer, I understand that a hotspot is created when a light source is directly above or directly on the object being lit up. Again, this seems to defy the laws of true physics. Any takers? Because this picture clearly shows a hot spot on the planet Earth, implying that possibly the sun is just above those clouds, because otherwise there shouldn't be a hot spot. So again, I ask, any takers? None? Okay, moving on.
Wait a second. Is he actually using a picture of the sun above the Earth and claiming that this proves that the Earth is flat, while at the same time showing picture of the curve right there? No, hot spots that he sees right there is actually just reflections coming off of a highly reflective surface on the Earth, like water, something like that. This isn't a hot spot like you would see in photography, or if you were at a different perspective looking at the Earth and seeing the glare from the sun coming off the Earth. Also, he showed a picture of crepuscular rays. That's bullshit. Those rays are indeed parallel, and it's only because of your perspective that they appear to be sort of angled. He would know this if he actually had any kind of like photographic sense, or maybe if he was like a cinematographer or something. which he isn't. You know, I can't really take much more. There's like 15 more minutes of his video. I'll probably look through it and address it some other time. In conclusion, I have determined that JM Truth is just a disingenuous pseudoscience peddler. All he does is misrepresent evidence that he brings forward and tries to distort the truth of the things that he's actually showing you in order to fit his narrative or his faith to support his scriptures. His entire argument is based on his faith in the Bible, or whatever the fuck it is he might believe. He references the New Testament and the Old Testament. Like, I've seen him reference Matthew and shit. So I don't know what the fuck he is. Thank you, Fight the Flat Earth, for allowing me to come on and address JM Truth and finally put the last nail in the coffin. Oh, I probably didn't do that because he's still going to stick around and he's just going to deny everything. And anyways, he'll be back, guys.
Thanks, Godless. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Godless Engineer if you aren't already. And also make sure you're subscribed to mine and Team Skeptic's new channel, Science or Satire, where we recently had Godless Engineer on as a guest. Anyway, let's get on with the stupid.
So I don't know, is there other planetoid forms or other things that NASA's told us that are gaseous, spherical places that we're told really exist? Like most of the planets, I guess, in our solar system?
Yeah, you just answered your own question there, bud. And I suppose you're right, as Jupiter is a gas giant that has 2.5 times as much mass as the rest of the planets in our solar system combined.
The sun, we're told, is a big gaseous ball burning in space, in a vacuum.
Again, you got the basics wrong, you moron. The sun is not gas, it's plasma.
By the way, since we're on the subject of vacuums, fire, the element by which the sun exerts its energy, and I don't care if it's nuclear fission or what, it's still fire, okay, needs what element, folks, in order to continue to burn? Oxygen. But wait.
And there we have it. For me, this confirms 100% this guy has absolutely no clue what he's talking about. There is no fire on the sun. The sun does not burn like a bonfire. The sun is nuclear fusion, and that needs no oxygen. Just that thing that you hate. You know, gravity. Before we go, there's another video I wanted to talk to you about from JM Truth. He released a video recently giving people advice on how to set up a home studio and do green screen and stuff. This made me laugh as his editing, considering he has a degree in film production, sucks, especially his green screen game. You can see he's got a big shadow that messes up his chroma key, and there's like a general greenish glow to him. This is just more evidence of his ego. He thinks he's amazing at this stuff, so much so that he creates instructional videos. So I'm going to quickly show you my setup. Now, I'm no expert by any means, but I've worked hard to make my videos look a lot better. So, as you can see, I've got a green screen behind me. It needs to be as straight as possible, and you need to sit quite far in front of it. I've got my Blue Yeti microphone up next to me. Right, and in front of me, I've got 3 softbox lights to minimize any shadows behind me. And you can see in front of me where I've got my camera, it's got a teleprompter on that is linked to an app on my phone. Reads the script off so I can always look straight at the camera. So that's as simple as you need to have your setup. For green screen, the most important thing is getting rid of lights. Just ignore everything that JM Truth said because his green screen looks rubbish. And that's all that we have time for today. JM Truth is an absolute moron. Worse than most of Flerfs, as he has the goal to try and teach others, like he is some kind of authority. If you've enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and get the notification bell on so you never miss anything from FTFE. Also, make sure you subscribe to Godless Engineer, and remember, stupidity is not a right. Fight the Flat Earth. Fight the Flat. Fight the Flat.